Musical beds. Josie could not sleep. The moon was too bright. The old tree shivered and shook in the light. "Daddy," she called, "come here quick. There's a witch in my room." Daddy came upstairs. "Don't worry," he said. "It's only the apple tree making shadows on the wall." He pulled the curtains tight and kissed Josie good night. "Go to sleep now," Dad said. But Josie could not sleep, so she slipped across the hall to Mom and Dad's room. The room was dark, and there were no scary shadows. Josie slipped into the big bed and crawled between the soft sheets. Soon she was fast asleep. Ruby could not sleep. The room was too cool, and something whispered, "Hoo, hoo, hoo." "Daddy," she called, "come here quick. There's a ghost in my room." Dad came upstairs. "Don't worry," he said. "It's only the wind whistling through the apple tree." He shut the window tight and kissed Ruby good night. "Go to sleep now," Dad said. But Ruby could not sleep, so she slipped across the hall to Mom and Dad's room. The room was cozy and there were no scary noises. Ruby slipped into the big bed and crawled between the warm sheets. Soon she was fast asleep. Little Rick could not sleep. "I'm thirsty," he called. He left his room and he bounced down the stairs on his bottom. Dad gave little Rick a glass of water, then carried him back to bed. "Go to sleep now," Dad said. It was Dad's turn to sleep. There was no room in the big bed, so he crawled into Ruby's bed in the bottom bunk. He was reading his book when little Rick came in. "I can't sleep, Daddy. I'm lonely." Little Rick climbed into bed next to Dad, and soon he was fast asleep. But Dad could not sleep. Little Rick kept kicking him and pushing him. Dad climbed into the top bunk, but it was full of cuddlies and books and pointy puzzle pieces, and besides, Dad wanted to sleep in his own bed. There was only one thing to do. First, he carried little Rick back to his own room. He put Doggy and Monkey and Lion all around him so he wouldn't be lonely. Little Rick slept, snug as a snail. Then Dad carried Josie back to her bed. There were no scary shadows and no witches. Josie slept, cozy as a caterpillar. Next, Daddy carried Ruby back to her bed. There were no scary noises and no ghosts. Ruby slept, quiet as a carrot. Then Dad got into the big bed and read for a few minutes before he fell fast asleep, tired as a turnip. When Mom came home, she gave everyone a goodnight kiss. First, Josie, who was cozy in the top bunk just where she belonged. Then Ruby, who was quiet in the bottom bunk just where she belonged. Then little Rick, snug in his own bed just where he belonged. Then Mom got into her big bed next to Dad, feeling very pleased that everyone would sleep, comfy as kittens, peaceful as pandas. At least until morning. There's the toys. And that story was called Musical Beds. Do you play musical beds at your house?